Hey, thanks for tuning in. We can't get to the racetrack right now, unfortunately, but we'll be back soon. This is going to be a series of 5 to 10 minute videos. We'll keep it short and sweet on midget racing. We're going to focus on some great events of the history of the Badger Midget Series. I'm sitting here at my fireplace at my home. What better place to have a fireside chat? Of course, those were made famous by FDR when he was president in the 30s. And we're going to focus on an event in the 30s for the Badger Midget Series, the 1936 inaugural season for the Badger Midget Series. Midget racing was started back on June 4th of 1933 in California. It migrated to the Midwest and in the Wisconsin area in 1934. Various events throughout the state and some at the small cinder track and indoor track adjacent to the Wisconsin State Fair Park Speedway, better known as the Milwaukee Mile. Over the off-season of 1935, Tom Marchese and his brother Carl founded the Wisconsin Racing Association to sanction midget auto racing. The event debuted on June 4th, 1936. Here you can see the program. Typical program from that time. Front cover had the officials, the date. Inside the next page, we see driver roster, a driver bio, race information. Page 3 was the fill-in area for scoring the race, and page 4 was advertisement. Now the track barely got finished by Mike Sweeney and his crew for the June 4th event. After the June 4th event, they actually finished it up and improved the lighting. Extra grandstands were set up in the corners, and more grandstand seating area was utilized on the grandstand area that utilized the Milwaukee Mile. So June 4th, 1936, first ever race. How about this? This is the official score sheet. I acquired these from my friend Walter Kaufman, who is a curator at the David Eline collection of cars. These were kept by Kaufman and Christy Zigris. This shows that there was 18 cars there. Wally Zale had quick time, broke down after qualifying, unable to compete in the events. Events that day included a 5-lap trophy dash, which was called a helmet dash, 3 heat races, a 5-lap race for Wisconsin drivers only, a 10-lap Australian pursuit race, and a last chance consolation race for 5 laps, topping it off with the 20-lap feature, which was won by Tony Willman. Now here's a picture of Tony Willman, the great Tony Willman, who ran in the Indy 500, was one of the great midget drivers of his era. This is the Marchese Special that Willman drove. This is not the identical car that Tony Willman won that Badger race in. It was a number 5 car, but you'll get a good shot of seeing what the cars were like at that time. So basically, the season moves on pretty good for Badger, or for the Wisconsin Racing Association. Let me just correct right away before we go on. We've been using the word Wisconsin Racing Association and Badger. After the 1937 season, the Marchese brothers changed the name from the Wisconsin Racing Association to the Badger Midget Auto Racing Association. That was to avoid confusion with the sanctioning body that they had at the Wisconsin State Fair Park, better known to you as the Milwaukee Mile. That was Wisconsin Auto Racing, which ran from 1929 to 1967. So we'll use the term Badger or Wisconsin Racing Association. Great season the rest of the year. Everything ran along smooth, very few injuries, great crowds. Here you can see a ticket stub from the 1936 inaugural season, 40 cents admission. That's a great deal back then. With the inflation calculator, that would be a $7.49 ticket nowadays in 2020. You can also see now a couple of pictures too of the 1/5 mile cinder track inside the Milwaukee Mile track. We see a couple great shots of corners 1 and 2, and you can see the grandstands and 3 and 4. Great shots of the track. So as we progress through the season, Ted Tedderton out of Waukegan, Illinois, picks up victories late in September on June 10th and June 17th, closes up the point gap. We head to the season finale on October 18th, 1936 at the track. And here is the actual rundown of the finish. Tedderton set the fast time. Tedderton also won his heat race. Pat Warren, Bill Kolmansky, they won heat races. Joe Baraney won the Wisconsin race. Cy Drew won the Australian Pursuit race, setting up a title showdown between Tedderton and John Sawyer, who entered the event 21 points behind Tedderton. Sawyer, of course, who had previously run in 2 Indy 500s. Great race going on. Tedderton jumps into the lead. Out front, race is running along, green, green, green. Lap 21, Sawyer begins to challenge Tedderton. Tries to make a move on Tedderton on lap 22, slides into the infield off the track, keeps the car going, re-enters onto the track, but is now a lap behind Tedderton. And then the next lap, with 3 to go, tries to unlap himself for some reason with 3 laps to go in the season finale, crashes into the inside wall, car skids across the track. Pip Hampson, a well-known driver, hits Sawyer's car. Sawyer's thrown from the car, suffered some major injuries. Ted Tedderton stops his car to help Sawyer out. Here's a photo of that you can see from the Milwaukee newspaper, and it's also labeled where the drivers are. So once they got Sawyer into the ambulance, transferred to Milwaukee County General Hospital with rib injuries, a concussion, and some other injuries, Tedderton doesn't restart the race. Last 2 laps of the race, Art Hartsfield wins the season finale, the driver from Toledo, Ohio. So that's how we recap our first season of the Badger Midget Series. A phenomenal, exciting season, close finishes, and great way to finish off the title race. We're going to have many more episodes of this, talk about things with Badger and history until we get back to the racing. Want to keep them at 5 to 10 minutes, probably 2 of them a week. So I'm glad you were able to watch us today. I also want to thank my 10-year-old daughter, Kaylee, who took some cinematography classes in summer school last year and is producing this. So any production issues can be addressed to her. And thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you soon.